James Gunn's new Superman movie comes out at the weekend, and through sources within the film industry, I've been able to speak to 6 people that have seen the movie. They've rated it out of 10 for me, and the results are really interesting and very mixed. But also, I'd like to speak about James Gunn's comment about the movie and how he says it's about immigration and kindness and how that has exploded the internet. Welcome to the Tach Impulse podcast.
Our tachyon pulse has been unable to completely penetrate the anomaly.
So yeah, I've been able to speak to 6 people who work within the Hollywood industry who have been able to see early screenings of the new Superman movie. I've asked them to rate it out of 10 and asked them to give me a little bit of a blurb about how they felt about the movie. I will tell you that the highest score was 9, they loved it, and the lowest score was 1. But I'm going to come to that in a minute because I really want to talk about James Gunn and his comments about this movie. He said that this film is about immigration and basic human kindness. And several YouTube channels and people on social media have really jumped on this and really said it's a political statement and it's James Gunn talking about politics again. But actually, if you read the rest of the interview, it's not really a political statement. This is not about Trump or ICE or anything that's going on in America at the moment. He's actually talking about social media. He talks about how if he had a magic button that could turn off the internet, he'd do it. And he talks about how there is significant hatred in the world today, isolationism, racism, bigotry, and it seems to be fueled in lots of ways by social media. Now, I can tell you as a YouTuber that I get really aggressive comments aimed at me. Actually, on a previous channel where I talked about conspiracies and stuff, I got people actually trying to get in touch with loved ones to have a go at me. Now, okay, those people are a bit mentally unwell, but it just shows that there really is a truth in the world that people will say things online that they would never ever say to your face. Now, I would say actually that individuals are kind. We have goodness in us, and we treat other people, on the whole, with respect. James Gunn actually says that a human kindness is something we seem to be forgetting, and that actually there's a lack of human goodness in the world. I don't think it's that bad, but I do think as groups, we do tend to be a little bit more unkind, a little bit more isolationist, and a little bit more bigoted. And that does seem to be at least expressed widely on social media. But I would also say that a lot of the hatred on social media is from extremes, left or right. And that actually the extremes of these people, the extremes of these views, are the loudest. And that's why social media is more full of hatred than you would expect. The people in the middle, the people that don't have really strong views about these things, don't tend to go on social media to shout about it. So, that's my opinion on this. And again, I have to say strongly, James Gunn is not talking about politics on this. He's talking about social media. And the YouTube channels that have jumped down this throat and said he's just nuked his own movie and he's woke and all this nonsense have really proved his point for them. That hate clicks are more popular than positive clicks, and that really hatred on the internet seems to be on the rise. But let's talk about the reviews of the movie and the people that have seen this film for me. Now, the first person is the original source I got to speak to a couple of weeks ago, and itchy face. And he actually said, look, you're going to love or hate this movie. I can completely understand why people will love it. I can completely understand why some might hate it. He said, look, it's a fun movie. It's really up there. It's very Guardians of the Galaxy. He says the robots are annoying, but he loved Crypto. He said Crypto is by far the best character in this. And he talks about how the whole thing with Lex Luthor and the way Crypto gets used. Crypto is very central to this movie in lots of ways. And he says it is adorable. He did also say, though, the movie is very fast-paced at times and sometimes a little incoherent because of it. He scored it 6 out of 10, which I would say basically is an average score. The second person I got to speak to gave it 2 out of 10. They said it's stupid characters, there's almost no development, and the villains look weird. They sort of went on to talk about how, they like a lot of superhero movies, they liked a couple of the Batman movies, etc., and liked Marvel when it was at its best. But this film, they said, basically just tries to cram too much into 2 hours, and it just didn't work for them. The third person I got to speak to loved this movie and gave it 9 out of 10. They said, look, if you know the comic books, you'll get it. It's fun, it's fast-paced, in a good way, and he loved how you got to see a real Superman. And he went on to explain that what he means is that this is actually a Superman that lacks confidence at times, that has all this power and tries to bring good to the world, and he's hurt by people that don't sort of see what he's trying to do, that there's a lot of jealousy in the world aimed at him, and that sort of hurts him emotionally. And the source also then goes on to add to that and says Lex Luthor is really the king of those people, that Lex Luthor himself is not evil for evil's sake. Instead, he is afraid of the power that Superman brings, but also jealous of the people that adore him and treat him almost like a god figure. The fact that Lex Luthor here doesn't know he's the villain, a bit like Thanos maybe, makes him all the more a really scary and great villain. They also made the point here that the guy playing Lex is brilliant and absolutely nails it, bringing a different version of Lex to the screen than we've seen before. The fourth person that's seen this gave it 7 out of 10, which I think is a pretty good score for a Marvel movie or a DC movie or generally any superhero movie. They said, it's not the best hero movie I've ever seen, but if you like what James Gunn's done, you're gonna love it. Saying that basically if you like things like Guardians of the Galaxy, you're going to enjoy this movie, and it's very much a James Gunn film. I think James Gunn can actually do that with Superman. It sort of suits his writing style and his sort of attitude towards movies. I don't want to see James Gunn writing a Batman movie, because that would be awful. The fifth person that saw this gave it 6 out of 10, which I would say, again, bang average score. They said the dialogue's a little bit awkward at times, and I don't really get the robots, especially Superman's affection for them. There does seem to be a running sort of thing here that the robots are just annoying, and that you're almost glad when they die. I've sort of been told that a few times now by people that have seen it. The last person hated this movie. They gave it 1 out of 10. He said, 1 or 2 laughs don't make up for a totally incoherent plot, ridiculous effects, and over-the-top characters flying at you from all directions. I hated this movie. Now, they didn't hold back. They did say to me, though, that they also hated Guardians of the Galaxy. So I think they basically had a preconception about this movie, and it fulfilled that preconception. They did say to me, look, superhero films aren't really their cup of tea, and really, I would be amazed if this person liked this film. It's a person, actually, I've sort of spoken to a couple of times before, not a great deal, but I've spoken to them before, and yeah, they don't love superhero movies. So, it's an immigrant story. It's about kindness. Of course it is, all Superman movies are. But it's also a film that does have a lot of fun. And it's a film that has some properly good comedic moments. But it's also a film that tries to cram an awful lot into a very small space. I'd love, though, guys, for you to tell me what you think about these scores. And does it make it more interesting for you or less? Do you think you want to see this at the cinema? Because every single one of these sources said if you're going to go watch it, you must watch it at the cinema. It will lose something on the small screen. Get to the cinema. And I would 100% agree with that sentiment. This is totally a cinema movie. But what do you think, and are you going to go and watch it? Get into the comments and tell me exactly what you think. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. It really helps us out, and you'll never miss any of our new videos. Also, you can become a member of the channel and get to see a lot of our videos 24 hours before everybody else. Go check that out. As always, please stay safe, and I'll see you next time.
Our tachyon pulse has been unable to completely penetrate the anomaly.